We're getting into the Rocky Mountains right now, and we're on our way to Blue River, British Columbia. It is a location in BC that has been occupied by a radical fake First Nation, a group that thinks they own everything that the light touches. They think that they have the rights to say who can come and who can go and who can do business there. The local band, the legal Indian band, has said, yeah, come on in. They've all agreed to this pipeline. This pipeline is happening. But of course, there's the eco-radicals who are pretending like this is an Indigenous issue, have blockaded this town, have hurt small businesses, and have hurt the locals. And the mainstream media is completely ignoring what's going on. We got so many emails about this story over the past few weeks that we decided we had to come there and see what was going on, to be there and report the other side of the story. Actually, we say the other side of the story, but in this case, it's just the story. We need to report the story because nobody else is doing it, because they all have an agenda. So I've brought my cameraman, Mocha. He's behind the camera right now, and we're getting into the Rocky Mountains now. We're going to head up through Banff, and then go towards Blue River through Jasper, I think.
Hello?
Hi there, my name's Keean Bexte. I'm with Rebel News.
Blue River have contacted everybody. The RCMP's hands are tied.
You're not f***ing welcome here!
We were called blonde bitches.
Fuck off, you honky motherfuckers!
They've been there for 2 years.
Is that common here? Law breaking and the police ignoring it?
Yeah.
It didn't really get bad until they blocked the road.
The Trans Mountain Pipeline will never be built!
How they're protesting is they're disrespecting the local people and the Indigenous groups in the area.
Are they not from the area?
No, they're from the Sconlet.
Are you from the area here?
No.
It seems like they have no skin in the game.
No, they don't. They have no legs to stand on here.
You call yourself Secwepemc and then you're working for Kinder Morgan?
They do intimidate us. They've approached us with long staffs, pointy, and...
They did the same thing with me, a big spear. This guy came up, he smelled real dank. Why are you dressed in tactical gear?
That's why we're here.
That's exactly
is for the tactics that they're using down there.
Pervert and pedophile and rapist of our Mother Earth. And we know where your kids go to school.
It's gotten to a point where it has to be addressed. Somebody has to stand up and say something. And that's why we're gathered here today.
Keean Bexte for Rebel News here in Blue River, British Columbia. It's a beautiful small town that is notable for a few reasons. And the main one right now is that Trans Mountain is planning on twinning an existing pipeline, adding about 600,000 barrels of oil per day to the existing capacity. This is one of the sites behind me, and you can see all the workers working hard to get this job done. This represents about 5,000 jobs, good paying jobs, when the economy is as bad as it has ever been here in Canada. Now, the problem here in Blue River, BC isn't that the pipeline is coming through. The vast majority of the folks living here support this pipeline. They want the jobs. And you know what? It's not just the folks living in town. It's also the folks in the First Nation band. The Simpcw band has actually voted in support of this pipeline. They love it. They love the jobs. They love the money that's coming in. They've actually signed something called a mutual benefit agreement so that they can actually get some income from the high value project that's coming through what they call their traditional lands. Now, the problem here is that there's another fake First Nation afoot. You might remember my coverage up in northern BC when I was covering the Coastal GasLink pipeline. That was a natural gas pipeline. This is a bitumen pipeline, but the opposition remains the same. It's a bunch of radical Marxists who pretend like they're local Indigenous folks, who pretend like they have skin in the game, when in reality they're radical ideologues. They're supported and funded by radical environmental charities. Now, they've come out here to counter-protest today, a protest that was set up to protest them. So we're not really sure who the counter-protesters are at this point, but it's safe to say that these folks here right now who are engaging in this ceremony, I don't know if you can quite see it there past that National Observer reporter, they are here planning to fight back against the locals who have finally decided that they're fed up with these tiny house warriors. Now let me explain who these tiny house warriors are. This individual here, you can see her face on this screen, is kind of the leader of this group. She's also someone whose family owns a gas station. Yeah, it's hypocrites abound here. This woman has set up small, tiny houses in the area where this organization, Trans Mountain, is going to be building a man camp, which will house the folks who have good paying jobs because of this pipeline as they go in and out of work every day. They don't want that, so they've built these small houses. The problem here is that the mainstream media hasn't actually come here to cover the side of the story of the locals who are fed up with these radicals occupying their town. Hey guys. Hi. I saw the oil and gas stickers, so it's so hard to tell who's on whose side here.
We're on the right side.
On the good side, okay. From my understanding, that, and I might not be pronouncing it right, is it the Simpcw? Simpcw. Okay, that Indigenous band signed a mutual benefit agreement with Trans Mountain for a bunch of jobs and money and whatnot for the pipeline coming through.
Yep.
So why are those folks over there, those ones that they just approach us and they're quite intimidating? Why are they against it, and do they have any authority to be against it?
Everybody has the right to protest. Everybody has various reasons why things should or should not be done. It's my understanding that they believe that the man camps are going to bring a negativity to the area. I'm not 100% sure on all their issues. Their issues are so spread out over. They're ranting about everything they can just to get media attention. So they can't really put one finger on what they're after here.
Yeah. Why do you support the pipeline, and do the local Indigenous people like you support?
I'm not here to be pro-pipeline, anti-pipeline. I'm here to convey a message that how they're protesting is not. They're disrespecting the local people and the Indigenous groups in the area, and that's not acceptable.
Are they? You said the local Indigenous groups in the area. Are they not from the area?
No, they're from the Sconlith, which is 4 hours from here, 3 hours from here. You have to pass over two nations' proper traditional grounds to get here. Three traditional people's grounds to get here.
Why? That seems like such a long way to travel, and it seems like they have no skin in the game.
No, they don't. They have no legs to stand on here.
Hey guys, could I ask you a quick question? What brings you out here today? What brings you out here today? What brings you out here today? Can you guys share one message? What brings you here today?
They're underage kids. Go stand over there and talk to an adult.
So right now I'm in the middle of sort of an impromptu protest where they've come here to antagonize these folks. You'll see, we'll show you an aerial map right now of Blue River, British Columbia. Over there, way over there, is where they set up the tiny houses. And because these folks here didn't want to antagonize anyone, they just wanted to protest and exercise their constitutional rights, they actually moved a fair ways away to have this barbecue. Now, these folks here have come and approached them banging drums, acting in ways that obviously you can see right here, like children. They say that there's some children here. I'd say they're all acting like children really right now. They have no message. They're chanting. They're being aggressive, really, with the people that are here, and they don't want to share their message. They don't want to talk, unless maybe you're friendly media with, I don't know, Press Progress or something. They might share their story. But if they can't control their message, if they can't manipulate the narrative, they will not say a word. So right now we're just leaving the barbecue while these radicals who were at the tiny house are sort of having their whatever it was over at that other parking lot. We're gonna come here while it's empty so we can get some footage that we wouldn't have normally been able to, because these guys are just their tactics are such that our security didn't really want us here, but now we're sort of sneaking in. Hey, could I get your name? Margot. Nice to meet you. My name's Keean. So we're trying to understand the First Nations breakdown here. It was the Simpcw, or maybe I'm mispronouncing that.
We already said no consent to talking.
Okay.
So can you please give us space and read that?
All right. Well, we want to get an idea what the tactic like.
No means no. So that's it. Okay.
Well, okay, yeah. I drove a long way to come here just to report on this story, but we want to know why these sort of tactics are being used. You know, like why is there a blockade? Why is there shouting? Why is there people in sort of militarized uniforms wearing body vests, wearing with spears? Why those tactics rather than peaceful protest?
As far as I know, peaceful protest, I can't comment. I'm under direction, just no comments. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. And is everyone coming back to this area here soon, or is there someone that could comment?
Yeah, it's a wait. I can't speak. Sorry. Yeah.
Are you from the area here? Yeah, no, I get it. Are you from the area here?
No.
No? You're not? Okay. All right. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. So I just had a relatively nice conversation with the fella here. It seems when they don't have these big group numbers, they're a little bit less intimidating and less standoffish. This is, well, you can see it right here. This is the blockade of a service road. And this service road is what would have Trans Mountain employees coming in through to the camp where they're going to be housing all of these folks who are going to be employed because of this pipeline. You can see here the graffiti on all of the Trans Mountain signage and whatnot. This blockade has been going on, from my understanding, for months, if not years, along with these tiny houses that have been built here. That is where they get their name, the Tiny House Warriors. Obviously, it is all part of a narrative, right? It's like building a medical center that has to be torn down, that they know is going to have to be torn down. It's all about the narrative here, and right now it's completely empty, which is great. That's frankly the only reason our security, which is they're standing with us, is allowing us to be here right now, because the rest of them have all sort of marched through town and are having a bit of a session over there. Now, right over here is the campground, where there has been a few local news stories about it, where young boys have been, riding their bikes, and they have claimed on social media, reported that they were called rapists, white supremacists, and the same thing goes for a lot of women who've been in the area as well. So.
Yeah, we need another table right here. Do you need help, Bruce?
I think Janice has some. Nobody here is going to engage them in any way, shape, or form.
And if anybody here.
Yeah, if anybody acts up, we'll be escorting them away. Okay?
From my understanding, I was speaking with Darren. It's not a protest in support of the pipeline, although you may or may not support it. This is sort of against and opposed to their tactics of protest.
Correct.
Can you give me some idea of what those tactics are?
Okay, so we had a bunch of little boys that were on a Terry Fox run, and they were screamed at and told that they were rapists and white supremacists. And the little boy went home and asked his dad what a rapist was. That to me is just wrong. And when you're protesting, it's supposed to be a peaceful protest. You're not supposed to protest like that. It isn't. They do intimidate us. They've approached us with long staffs, pointy, and
they did the same thing with me. A big spear. This guy came up. He smelled real dank.
While the ceremony is going on,
I can't record while the ceremony is going on.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's just great to see local residents finally starting to push back, including local First Nations, to the ridiculousness of this 2-year illegal blockade that this small group of so-called protesters has been putting on. They're not even from here, they're not from the community, and local residents are obviously fed up and just saying enough is enough.
What's your take on why they're here? What tactics are they upset with?
Well, talking to the local residents, I'm sure you have, it's been 2 years of harassment that's only escalated quickly. Harassing not only individuals but also private businesses. They've set up this illegal blockade right next to a public campground, or a private campground rather. And people are just fed up with it. There's profanity in front of children. They're going around calling people rapists and predators, and in front of children and their families.
They're affecting our businesses in town. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
If there's no business, no people gonna be here.
They're not peaceful. They're disrespectful to the people that live here and the area.
and that's why we're here, is to stick up for the people that live here.
They're rude, nasty, vile people.
Who's behind it?
Well, this is the best business in town. It's a big business, big environmental lobby groups raising hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. I think their GoFundMes are public. I think it's also public knowledge that Greenpeace helped seed fund the Tiny House Warriors. And so, clearly some of these people are professional. Today they've bussed people in from Calgary, from Vancouver, whereas here at the so-called counter-protest, if you want to call it, it's all locals and people from either this town or the town over, one way or another.
What's going on here is not to be tolerated by the locals anymore. It's somebody stood up, and that had to happen. So the government's already on it. The city of Kamloops, the mayor Malabar, has addressed it in his court. Stephen Quinn's on it. The mayor of Clearwater is on it. There's unanimous support for what's going on here. So it's just going to be a matter of time.
Let's hope so.
You walked up to the police after you saw those folks hanging out of their car, standing on the side of their car, going down the highway on highway speeds. What did you do with the cops there?
I went over and addressed them, asked them, why there's people on the outsides of their vehicles driving down our highway, and if they were going to do anything. And they said, we'll deal with it, just not right now, which is a pretty typical response from the RCMP.
How do you, we'll deal with that not right now. How are they going to identify who is driving? How are they going to identify those folks who are all breaking the law if they do it, in a week, whenever they get to it?
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea how they're going to deal with that.
Is that common here? Law breaking and the police ignoring it?
Yeah. And then on top of it, we don't have police here. So when we call them, it takes them, 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours to get here to come deal with it. They come here, they take a statement, they leave. They don't do anything about it. There's been 2 years of police reports, and they're just finally telling us now, oh, you need to get a file report. Why aren't you filing this? And how come every time there's a different department? Like, the DLT has shifts, I get that. Not the same people can come up every time. Why am I having to explain the story every time a new shift comes on? Why aren't these people being briefed on what's going on? Why am I having to do their boss's job? Like,
you shouldn't be doing the legwork to enforce the law here. It should be the police.
Exactly.
That is the RCMP. Watch that illegal activity happen. If these folks here did the same thing, they'd be arrested. They'd be in cuffs and they'd be in jail by noon. But different laws, different rules, and different enforcement for different people. Justice is not justice if it's implemented differently depending on who the person is. That is why that woman of justice has blindfolds on while she's holding the scale, because it's important. That's the definition of justice, that it applies to everyone. They don't want to escalate the situation. I get that. But at what point do you allow illegal activity? At what point does this activity become so untenable that you have to do something about it? Where do you draw the line? Who decides this? There have been blockading this road down here, this campsite where the Trans Mountain Expansion Pipeline needs to build a work camp so that they can employ over 5,000 people. They've been blockading it for 2 years. If you did that outside of, the Premier's house, John Horgan, in Victoria, British Columbia, you'd be arrested lickety-split. I was actually there on location when that happened. They were arrested and sent to jail. If I did that in Calgary, if I did that as a white man, I'd be arrested. I'd be sent to jail. Just being on the outside of a vehicle while going highway speeds on a highway, merely that would throw me in jail. But for them, they're exempt. Why is that? These folks here protesting today, protesting the illegal tactics of that fake First Nation, have done a great job. The barbecue was delicious and the people were so friendly. It was a delight to speak with them. I can't say the same for the radical fake First Nations across the road who intimidated us with spears, body armor, and the whole shebang. I can't believe that this is happening in Canada, and a lot of people don't know that it is. People aren't aware because the mainstream media isn't covering this. Where's CBC? Where's CTV Global News? The only other reporter that I saw here was with the National Observer, a radical left-wing outlet. Rebel News is the only one sharing not just the other side of the story, but the story in general. The story that's not just the talking narrative of those radicals across the road. We're not stenographers for them, so they wouldn't talk to us. But we're here on location sharing this story so you know what's going on here in Blue River. You might not have known the blockade that was going on with the Trans Mountain Pipeline but it's happening, and it's going to boil over. I bet I'm going to have to come back here eventually as this gets more and more out of hand, as the police don't move on arresting folks who are acting illegally. I can't thank you guys enough, those of you who have supported this campaign at fakefirstnations.com, to get me out here, to get the hotel, to drive out here, to fly my cameraman Mocha all the way from Toronto to Calgary to meet with me so that we could rendezvous with our security detail here. That security detail for this little excursion was $3,000. It's not cheap to be out here covering the side of the story, but we think that it is absolutely imperative that we do so because nobody else is doing it. Thanks so much for your support. For Rebel News in Blue River, British Columbia, I'm Keean Bexte. Thanks so much to our viewers and donors who helped out with this footage here on location. We wouldn't have been able to do it without you. If you go to fakefirstnation.com, maybe we can scrounge a few dollars together and get Mocha on a flight back to Toronto. It was a logistical challenge to get this done, but I'm glad that we were able to be here and get this work done and this story to you. Thanks so much for tuning in.